Hello, welcome. Happy Friday. It's here. All right. Yes, welcome everyone. Thanks to everyone who's watching. If you are new and don't know, my name is Tim. This is the Deep Dive, which is a weekly live stream that occurs here on the Adafruit channel. Usually this occurs Fridays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Central, and it is centered around CircuitPython. Was started by Scott Shawcroft, lead developer of CircuitPython. He is working a reduced schedule right now on paternity leave, looking after his newborn and child. And so he's not doing the streams right now. I'm filling in. I was out last week, so there was no deep dive last week, but I'm back this week, and here we are. What is up? Yano, and I think some nice. Let me do this thing real quick so we can see the names. There we go. Yeah, what's up, Yano and some nice. Nice to see both of you, my friends. Let's say a little bit more about CircuitPython. For anyone who might be new, CircuitPython is a way of programming microcontrollers, which are tiny computers. CircuitPython, when you choose to use it with your microcontrollers, the way it typically will work, you plug it into the computer with a USB cable. It shows up like a thumb drive. You can edit a Python code file on that thumb drive using whatever code editor or text editor you want. When you save it, the microcontroller will actually interpret and execute that Python code for you. So CircuitPython is a fork of MicroPython. It's a C program, a program written in C that interprets Python code and interfaces it with all of the hardware that is available for the microcontroller. There are 618 different devices right now that support CircuitPython. This is just one of the ways that you can program in them. There are lots of others. But this is the one that we work on here on the deep dive most typically. I do not have PyCharm open anymore because my camera was not working. So I ended up having to reboot a minute ago, just before I started, but we're back now. And actually this just opened up right to the place I wanted it to, which is perfect. Yeah, so that's CircuitPython. CircuitPython is primarily funded by Adafruit. This is their website, adafruit.com. They pay myself as well as Scott, who I mentioned earlier, and some other folks, the rest of the team who work on CircuitPython. There's a small team of us that work on it full time. There are some folks who work on it part time and some of the surrounding projects and documentations and guides and things like that. If you would like to help support CircuitPython, one of the easiest ways to do it is by purchasing hardware from them at their website, adafruit.com. They design and manufacture hardware over in New York, United States, and there are loads and loads of little breakouts that you can connect to your microcontroller that give it other capabilities. And there are also microcontrollers themselves, such as, the Fruit Jam or Feathers or Metros, all those good things. Sparkle Motion is one of the newer ones this year. So there's loads of great stuff there. Thank you to anyone who purchases hardware from there. That is helping keep them going, which is helping them keep this amazing open source project going. So today, another thing actually, which I lost when I had to reboot, was I had this open, requests. So what I would like to work on today a little bit is this issue I created the other day in requests library. I think maybe we did some work on this a while back on Deep Dive. In fact, I think it might have been my Saturday stream, but I'm not 100% sure. I think maybe we did this on Deep Dive one night, maybe a month or two ago at this point. And I am coming back around to this to try to hopefully finish it up. And essentially what I would like to do is inside the requests library, there are some tests. Actually, let's look in the IDE. There are a lot of tests, actually. So all these tests get run by GitHub Actions whenever there is a PR or whenever there is a new commit to the repository, which is good because this is kind of like verifying that all the functionality of the CircuitPython request library is working correctly. But what we have is a bunch of these tests actually reach out to this third-party server, http://bin.org, which is a really cool website. It's kind of like a tester website, essentially. Its sort of primary purpose is for application developers and web developers and other people who develop with things that interact with internet services. It is kind of like a testing ground for them. So the idea is it's like this website that you can send requests to and get basic responses back, and you can test out to make sure that like post requests are doing what they should and get requests are doing what they should and redirects and all kinds of different things that you can verify using this thing. And you can actually run it out of Docker, which is interesting. I wonder if we should entertain the idea of trying to just run the whole thing inside of Action. Something I had not considered before. Kind of intriguing. Know for sure if I want to go all that route. And I'm not sure if I don't know exactly how to do that inside of an Actions thing. I will freely admit I have limited experience with Docker stuff. I have a little bit. I've done more. I think Podman is the one I used more recently as like the actual client. I don't know for sure exactly like how do we set up, the GitHub action to run that instance. Sure, that's possible. Let's look at when I added this, because I thought there was going to be something in the action that was like to start up the server, but I guess that happens in the Python code? Happens in the Python code. We have a server. Yeah. This imports the server. Actually the same. The way this gets wrapped makes it a little tough for me to follow sometimes. So basically, it's still... So this is where we started this a month or two back, like I was saying before. A couple months more than that, in fact, actually June 14. Can I check that out still? Or check out to... Is that a thing? Do this with open. So before we had this parameterize, yeah, I do kind of remember this a little bit now that I'm looking at it. It's a similar format, but it doesn't wrap the lines, which makes it a bit easier for me to follow. We used to use this parameterization thing, and now instead we have cases as a list. We have indexes, which I think what these were doing. We create the server, we go through the cases. Yeah, was essentially kind of doing all the same things before. It just was vectored a bit differently. Okay. Doing close all. Yeah, so we started the server at the beginning here. Right there, we gave a little bit of time to start up. Then we did all of our tests. Then we shut down the server. Close the server, I guess socket probably. Or if we need the sleep at the end there. Okay. Okay. Yeah, the goal is going to be to get rid of anything we can that's using that remote server still. And go back to Which this was in what file now, actually? Real call. Get rid of this. Amortize was the thing that was imported for. So the gist of it is we start our server with we do this stuff, then we run all of our tests, we kill our server afterwards with these things. We'll have to see if there are multiple tests, like maybe we could start the server once and run all the tests against it and then stop it. Worth worrying about, I guess. It's going to be an actions thing anyway. It's just going to run and do its thing. But the deal is there are still some of these using the server. So back when I did it, when I did replace a couple of them, I replaced the ones that I knew about most immediately. But I have become aware of some more because of that issue I had pulled up here. This was from, I noticed this the other day when I did a patch actually to all the CircuitPython libraries. This one failed its actions. And so going back through looking at the failures, I noticed that this was the thing. So it was trying to post a file as data. And even when I loaded this here in the browser, it was really slow, right? So I kind of get the sense like, especially with the way the very like first thing on this page pretty much is like, here's how you run this yourself. If I'm honest, I get the sense a little bit the person hosting this site, and I don't know that I would go so far as to say that they don't want people using it necessarily, but its performance has degraded. I suspect that they're not like, it's not intended for, 99.999% uptime or whatever, right? Like it's going to go down. It's going to take a long time to return sometimes. It's kind of like a useful test, but not guaranteed in any way, shape, or form to be working at any given time, or to be working fast at any given time either, right? So, and what the test here, what we were getting in this actions failure was essentially same thing, read timed out. We were trying to contact that server. We have a timeout or something of 30 seconds. We didn't get the response back in the time we expected, so we timed out. And using this local one kind of eliminates that as a problem. Let's find where it's actually at still. I think we need I don't know if we might not need the quotes. And actually, I kind of want the end so we'll know. Go there. Way. Files test, and there is this. So the one thing I don't exactly understand fully is like, what is this fixture thing going on? Why have this be a function that returns a string instead of just like a variable, first of all, and then I didn't really need that. And then second of all, like, what does the fixture do to it? And I'm sure these two questions ultimately meet their answer. When at a basic level, test functions require fixtures. They're required by declaring them as arguments. Okay, so they're arguments to tests, essentially. It looks for parameters in the signature. It searches for fixtures that have the same names. Once it finds them, it runs those fixtures, it captures what they returned, if anything, and it passes it. Okay, so it's like a fancy chain to pass arguments into a test. And I guess if you were doing like more, like if this was calculated, right? If this was not just hard-coded as a string, if there were inputs that affected this, right? If it could be like 1 of 10 things or something, and you need to look at the inputs and decide which one, this being in a function would be super helpful. When it's just hard-coded, I'm not sure it's really doing that much for us. But it's not hurting anything either, I don't believe. But I now have a better idea. So here, when it has post URL, it's going to find this function, it's going to call it, it's going to return that. going to plug that in right there. So essentially, we are going to need to just make sure that our server can handle all the things that it's using this for. And as long as we do that, we could just change that URL. It's tough to do like find usages because of the way that it piggybacks on the name. Yeah, I can see we're like kind of shadowing the name, right? We have a function called post URL, but then in here we have an argument to this function. We have a variable called post URL, which shadows the name of the function. Although in this case, it's like tied to the function. It's going to call that and return it. But then we use the variable here as well. Uses the name a little bit. So post a file as text, post multiple files. Files complex. Like that's it. So right now we only have a get function. So we're gonna have to have a post function as well. I'm gonna have to call it the right name if we want it to work, I assume. And close data. So this is gonna make the post, and then that it called IP. Make sure that it called connect on the socket. It has a content length and that it sure actually if that's checking to make sure it's going to be the same as that. Sure what that's doing. This request post. Yeah, so I think this is making two requests. It's making one from Python, CPython requests. Yeah. So CPython requests. It's making one request with that, and then it's making one request with the CircuitPython library requests. And it is then making sure the data that would be sent with the request is the same. So this might not need to touch the server, but I think it's going to when this happens. But it doesn't really matter what we return, I don't think, for this one. Because this is checking what we sent. So in this case, we could just return, like, okay or something. Let's maybe give it back a JSON object with the request, with the URL it sent, and then, I don't know, maybe give it the data. But if it's going to be files, let's just do the URL for now. Give it a 200. Content type is JSON. Length is the size of that. Then run the files test. Well, we need to run the server, actually. Well, so realistically, we want to this inside of here, I suppose. Yeah, for now, I am just gonna have it start a new instance of the server for every test. Like, would be, well, it's tough actually because we call, so like, because we have this wrapped in this one, and all of the good stuff actually happens inside of here. In this case, the good stuff would include running the tests. Like, it would be nice if we could just have one step start the server and then the rest of the steps run the test and then have a step at the end to kill the server if that's a thing we need to do. I mean, the whole instance isn't going to live anyway, so I don't know if it matters if we actually stop the HTTP server or not, but it would be a bummer to like have to have this library have a special thing, right? So that either. All right, so we need to copy the imports like this. Threading, we need threading socket server and time. It's here. So we're gonna have to figure out something for, because I don't know how to do SSL or HTTPS with this local server. I don't know how to do that. It should be possible to like generate a self-signed thing or something, but I don't know how. This should be possible. I think it's possible. Do it for an IP address. We're using localhost anyway, which makes it a little bit more awkward. We could maybe just hit like a Adafruit API or something. There's like a IO page or something that's just a basic something that's behind HTTPS we could do. So that's interesting. Self-signed certs and local HTTPS has been a nightmare for me in the past, yeah. I imagine it to be. I've never had the pleasure, but imagine it to be. It's unfortunate too, I will say, because like actual HTTPS certificates with Let's Encrypt at least are fairly painless these days, as far as like kind of easy to get it deployed and set up. Knock on wood. This. Things. Boundary. This, I guess, is underscore already used? Why double underscore? I'm familiar with like using underscore as a variable name when it's like a variable you don't like care about. You don't need to actually look at its value ever. I guess this is just double for the kind of the same thing. But this one's a little bit odd in that it's actually only sending one request to the server. The CPython request, I think, is seemingly going to the server. The CircuitPython request is actually not. It would just be going to this fake thing. I think we'll answer. No, can you send a post to Wi-Fi test? Suppose I haven't tried it. This. That outside the inside the width. Used to be not easy, but these days less so. Makes it pretty easy with an install option. Use up system level trust, otherwise manually with OpenSSL or even Let's Encrypt. Really try ngrok for zero effort for porting. Let's see, IIR. I've heard of ngrok before. Let's Encrypt I've used a fair amount. Use a thing. I use the CLI thing called CertBot usually. Like a CLI tool that gives you access. But I do think Let's Encrypt. Last I knew, did I hear something about them changing this actually? Last I knew though, I think they did. They would not do IPs. Well, and we can't use Let's Encrypt fully because we're not actually like we don't actually own the IP we're using, and we're not on the internet anyway. So they're not going to be able to verify that we own the IP we're using. Now we would need a local cert only. That will essentially not be trusted by anyone but us. Maybe there's still a way to do that. Possible. I don't know what all other kind of stuff lets. So, if I recall right, we test. That's true. Just can't be just IPs. Not worth using. .py. Okay. Let's see how to single. // file. It's 2 colons. Yeah, we need the .py and it's 2 colons. Still didn't work. Oh. We need to also use the correct file path. The correct file path, actually. Oh, the correct one. Correct as well. Nice. Okay, so that passed. Presumably that hit our local server. I have it running a place where I could see it, so we don't exactly get to see it hit our local server, but it succeeded, which is good enough for me. To use example.org, it's a special reserved URL. Oh, really? Did not know about that. Operations, exactly. Possibly. See what else actually interacts with the server. Okay, so that takes care of that one. That one's easy. So this one, post files text, it's gonna think this is the same, probably. It works too. Get rid of this. We don't have Island. Might as well do that over here. Let me. There's 2-second pause, and then boom. Well, there's supposed to be a 2-second pause. I don't know how that could pass in. Oh, no. I didn't actually update this. Silly. So is there a way we can like wrap this? Or I just copy paste this everywhere. Couldn't I do like a... Isn't this what decorators do? On decorator. Yeah, I think this is what we want. Really. This is like the best of both worlds. We're spawning a new HTTP server for every function, which is like feels a little wasteful, but in the code it's not really going to look like it. So we get a fresh server, which is good. It can never get in like a funky state, or if it does, we're going to restart it for the next test anyway. I think this is what we actually want to do. Eventually, I'll also move this to somewhere so that we can use it in the other file as well, but for right now, I'll just put it here. Let's just say like uses local server. It's going to accept a function. And does it need to be wrapper? I guess so. Args. Zoom will want to pass those in. So before we'll do start the server. This out. Then we will do call the function. And then we will do stop the server. Then able to go like this one. It's local server. Oh, you know what? So first of all, I never changed the function to return the local server. So we were never actually hitting our local server anyway. So that's one problem. We actually still did hit the remote one, I'm pretty sure. Another problem though, this not working. Found. I just ran this. Not safe. It breaks it. Oh, Need to return wrapper, maybe? Calling? Why it would be... Call it, though. There we go. It didn't pass the arguments. This is tricky. If I just print here, I don't think I can see it, can I? Things that's kind of... You know, test if they did work. No, didn't. There before. But it already prints those. Something is already printing those, but they're not full. And then we can't see this print, which is like... Okay. Have to be at the beginning? Write it to a file instead. Okay. Those are both empty. Was that what's printing? No, because there's no colon. It's very close, though. But it used equals instead of colon. It's like somewhere else I believe. It also happened before I added the prints anyway. Supposed to return the result? On decorator on... This is close, I guess. See, but I don't like adding it, like, that feels janky to add it as an argument when it's like not an argument really, right? Like it's a thing I want to do before, it's a thing I want to do after. It's not an argument. It doesn't have different values that change what the function does. Like, hmm. I mean, I guess if that's the only way to do it, uh, oh. Okay. So maybe it could work. We did not do results, so maybe that's our problem. So for instance, this, well, but this doesn't return anything though. This asserts at the end, right? It doesn't return. Guess we could just can't though. If we result e none. We need dash dash. That didn't work anyway. Uh, well, I have to do that. Saying funktools.wrap, which was used here, we didn't actually use that in mine. Get funk. So that's saying So that's saying the decorator accepts the function. The wrapper also accepts a function. Inside of the wrapper, it returns what it got from calling the function. Only passed args and quargs. Then at the end, it returned dot-dec. Okay. And it's using the decorator package. I read better. All right. Well, it seems like that's not gonna work. So I guess I'll use a fixture. Feels a little. Well, I can't really use a fixture because it doesn't get a callback at the end. And we need to shut the server down at the end, ideally. That's really annoying. I can't use the decorators with a test. It's talking about testing decorators, though, not using decorators on a test function. You're saying to use the function. They return wrapper to this bit of func. This one does fixture Yeah, one thing. Remember if we use localhost or. Oh, maybe. Very good. Okay. Func tools. It is. We needed the old func tools. Okay. Good. Get rid of this. Okay. So now we can always just wrap with a decorator any function where we want to. Like I'd never actually put the closing part of this. Yeah. Now we should be able to just add this server, just post files text, post files text. Got a good feeling. Okay, there we go. And just to make sure, if I take this out, it should fail because it, I guess it depends on the. Okay, I was gonna say it should fail though, because it's not gonna be able to hit that server. That server won't be running. Okay, very good. So now we just go to all the ones with post URL. We say this. Nice. Glad I made it through that. It took me most of the stream here. But I am happy that there is a solution that is decorators that does not have to be an argument. We can do the close down afterwards. Like, this is more or less exactly how I wanted. I'm pretty happy. This one is doing test post files file. Sure, we can just try it, but we can make sure on this one again. We might not need that full 2 seconds. We could test a little bit without that maybe and see. Like, that means it didn't shut down the server. We're going on here. So this says open the file. We're reading bytes. We're making this dictionary thing. We're putting the file in it. I didn't know you could just put a file thing. Okay, this is a tuple, I guess. Something to call read on that later? Oh, I didn't know you could do this, I guess. I didn't know you could put an open file as a an argument. I guess requests will probably call read on that, I suppose. See anything different? And this is not calling any of the other ones, is it? Because like if this called, it's called one of the other ones, then the server would still be running. That would be no go. And Okay. Fine. On just to wait longer. Huh. How long it needs to wait? Definitely didn't wait as. Huh. It's almost like we're keeping it alive. It almost feels like I'm keeping it alive by trying. Maybe we need a bigger sleep at the end. I was going to say earlier, maybe we don't need the sleep at the end, but in fact, maybe we actually need a bigger one. This does mean also the if we're gonna have the same problem in the actions. So weird, like it's several seconds later now. Go. One thing we could do, I guess, is have we could have another layer of function. Basically, we could have a next level up of function that's like test all local server tests or whatever, right? Like, and then inside of there, it will call all of the individual tests that we want, all the ones that use the local server, and then so that outer one would be the one getting called by PyTest. That outer one we could then wrap with the decorator so that the server would start before any of the tests and would live through all the tests and then shut down at the end after all of them. So like right now we're using basically these three: test post file as data, post files text, and then post files file. But if we had like def test all local post whatever, right? This would take these same arguments. This would be the one that's decorated as uses local server instead of these. Yes, these would need to be probably inside. Basically put those inside of here, and you could call each of them. Then this one test, all local posts. Oh, I didn't say. Passed the wrong. Oh, this one has a different argument. Socket. Did they all get sockets? They all got sockets, but one's backward. Or only mine is. Only mine is back? No. First one's backwards. How does it come from? These being in the other order kind of wrecks that. Or do it that way. Sock first on all three. Sock first. I guess it is a little janky because now it counts as one test. I don't really like that. Like we still. That's doing backwards. Okay. Back from here. Fail on this one. Okay. Let's make sure these three still work. We're basically at time, so I'm going to run after that. Test post file as data. Then text. Files. Text. Still not exactly sure. It's the magic time to wait. Is this helping it some? Or there's like a magic amount of time that makes this work, but I might not be willing to wait for it right now. It's super weird that it's taken but not working. Get that. Full host is same. That's file that, and then call it a night. Thanks to everyone who hung out in the chat and watched along. I will be back tomorrow over on my own stream. Beauty of Adafruit. Yeah, thank you. Great at editing media over on YouTube. I'll be back tomorrow morning over on my own channel. We will be, I think tomorrow I'm actually going to be working on CPython. I think we're going to Raspberry Pi land. I do usually work on CircuitPython stuff. I think tomorrow we're going to venture into Raspberry Pi stuff. I've been playing with Raspberry Pi speaking translator thing a little bit. I think I'm going to work on that a bit tomorrow. So that'll be over on my own channel tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Central Time. I will drop the links in the Discord, which is below me there. Live chat Discord. Live broadcast Discord, I mean. All right, there's that. They're all working. All right. So, yep, that is it for the night. Take it easy. Y'all know some nice. Everyone else who is watching along, the moment I join, the stream's done. Sorry about that. Yeah, 4 p.m. Eastern is when this one starts each week on Friday. 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Did I say Eastern? I might have said that wrong. It's 5 p.m. Eastern. It's 2 p.m. Pacific. It's 4 p.m. Central U.S. time. That's when this stream starts on Fridays. If you want to catch it live, you can always catch the VOD after the fact too, though that's totally fine as well. And then tomorrow morning, Saturdays, I go 10 a.m. Central over on my own channel. I drop the links in the live broadcast chat on Discord. Take it easy, everyone. I will see you then. Hope you all have a good rest of your Friday night, Friday day, whatever time of day is for you, and a good weekend and all that stuff. Like I said, yep, I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back next week. Until then, take it easy. So long and farewell. See you later, VP Tech Ops. Nice to see you as well.